Okay, this week we're going to take a look at Tremaine Edmunds' film against the Falcons here. This is early in the game, 2nd and 2 situation. He is right here on the right side of the screen. And I want you to pay attention to the fact that the Bills have 2 safeties deep, so run fits are a little different when you have safeties deep like the Bills do on this play. And it becomes important in the run fits because, as you can see, it puts Tremaine Edmunds in a bind. You see Harrison Phillips fill right here. Rousseau is going to have this outside gap, and it really puts Tremaine almost responsible for 2 gaps right here over the middle of the field, and he has to disengage from Caleb McGarry here. He does that, and as Patterson cuts it back, you see he takes this route, and Tremaine Edmunds is there to make the tackle. All right, here's a play from Tremaine Edmunds on the weak side of the formation here, and one, I'd like to see him fire his gun as the running back bounces out wide here. This is a play where he read it perfectly. He inserted into his gap, but you want to see him fire his gun. You want to see him right there. You want to see him go right at Allison, the running back, and get upfield and make the tackle. He hesitates just a little bit, and Allison is able to break contain, and Johnson brings him down after a couple yards. So here's a run off the left side of the formation here where Edmunds forces the cutback, disengages, and makes the tackle. But this is a play where, some people are probably like, well, how come Edmunds isn't just coming downhill and making this tackle? Why is he taking that angle? Well, he is supposed to fill like this and force the cutback. And that cutback player is actually Matt Milano, but he gets walled off really well from number 77. So it's a good thing that Milano, Wallace, and Epinesa from the backside are there to make the tackle. So here's a nice overload pressure from the Bills on the sack by Taron Johnson. On the snap, you're going to have about a spike inside. You're going to see Edmunds spike inside as well and kind of clog up the middle of the field. Epinesa is going to stay out wide, and then Johnson's going to come in right here and bring down Matt Ryan. Just a really nice design pressure, and you can see Edmunds affect this play just a little bit right here. Ryan wants to throw it over the middle of the pits, but you see Milano there clogging up the middle, and I'm sure he saw Edmunds right there as well. He is forced to pull it down, and Taron Johnson wraps him up for the sack. On this play, you're going to see Phillips and Oliver make a really nice play on the running back, bring him down, but you're also seeing Edmunds hesitate. And if you're watching this from the broadcast copy, you're probably asking yourself, why is he hesitating? Well, let's look at that. Jet action across the formation prior to the snap, and all that does is force these linebackers and second-level defenders to bump over a gap to line up properly. So you're going to get the ball going out to the left side here of the formation, but watch on the snap what happens to the D tackles, Phillips and Oliver. Because linebackers aren't just reading the flow of the play and looking at their keys up front. They also have to read these defensive tackles out in front of them. And what happens on this play is initially you see Phillips get widened right there, and you see Oliver get cut. And so Edmunds has to make it right. He can't just fast flow over the top when the middle of the defense appears to be getting opened up. So what does he do? He hesitates just a little bit right there, and then you see him get on his horse as that ball commits out wide. So this is why Edmunds is hesitating right here. He's watching Ed Oliver get cut. He's seeing Phillips get widened. He kind of has to stay home and make things right. And once that running back does commit, then he can come downhill. And that's when Oliver disengages and Phillips disengages to make the tackle. On this play, Rousseau sacks the quarterback Matt Ryan here and forces a fumble, and it's recovered by Harrison Phillips. And I want you to watch the Bills disguising this coverage, and then Edmunds dropping out, taking away that option. You can see that Matt Ryan is looking off to the right side here on what appears to be a stick route from Hesse. Edmunds takes that away. Ryan is forced to come back to his left. Of course, he's got pressure in his face from Harrison Phillips, and that allows Rousseau to come around the edge and to hit Ryan, force the fumble, and the Bills recover. Here's another play that stressed the linebackers and second-level defenders there. You see Taron Johnson appears to be in man coverage on that wide receiver, and on the snap, the Bills drop out into a too-high look. So you see Hyde get back, you see Poyer at depth, and with the Bills in man coverage, Taron Johnson is more worried about this guy running a route. So he can't just fill this gap right here. You can see the run fits pretty clearly, to be honest. He's got the edge. He's got that gap. He's got that gap. Milano's got that gap. And, of course, Tremaine Edmunds would have that gap. Well, this play puts stress on him. You can see that there is no one able to fill here. You'd like to see Taron Johnson fill that, but because he's a man coverage, he can't. And so Edmunds is forced to keep his helmet in his gap there, but then as the running back cuts it back, he's there to make the tackle. So a lot of people are probably saying on the broadcast, well, why isn't Edmunds coming downhill and making this tackle in this gap? Well, this technically is not even in his gap. But he's being stressed and almost having a two gap here because of the coverage and because of the too high look. But he's still able to make the tackle on the running back. This is one of the plays that Tremaine Edmunds surrendered in the passing game to the Falcons, and one that's dicey and really shows you why how many yards or receptions a guy gives up is really up for debate when you're talking reception stats and what guys surrender in coverage when they're playing zone coverage. So this is a quarters coverage, and you can see the Falcons are trying to get the ball out this way. Here comes a crosser, number 17, over the middle of the field, and Edmunds is part of the reason why this is taken away. You can see Matt Ryan's looking right out there. That's taken away. He has nowhere to go with it here, so he ends up coming back to the bottom of the screen and just dumping it off to Hesse, the tight end right there that was kind of in to block. He releases, and this is charged to Tremaine Edmunds. But really, I mean, look how far away he was and actually what he did within the responsibility of this coverage. If you ask me, this shouldn't have been charged to him, but it was. And like I said, that's what makes these stats a little muddy. See right here, Edmunds is part of the reason why this is taken away. That crosser is taken away. Ryan has to pull the ball down, ends up dumping it down to number 46, and Edmunds is there to make the tackle. Here's a high-low concept from the Falcons here, and Edmunds does a good job of spacing both routes. Here's the low route, the outlet to Kyle Pitts, and then you have the receiver coming in behind him. Edmunds does a decent job of splitting the difference, and this was one of 6 targets against Edmunds on the day. He allowed 4 receptions for 46 yards. This was one of them that went incomplete, but as you can see, this is why I don't really like coverage stats, because Edmunds did a good job of spacing the 2 routes, but did he really play a factor in making this incomplete? Nah, probably not. Damned if you do, damned if you don't for Tremaine Edmunds on this play. Everyone's in man coverage. You see him cover up the running back, take away Mike Davis, but he then sees Ryan escaping the pocket right here. And as you can see, there's some green out ahead of him. Well, Edmunds drops Davis, and then out of nowhere, Matt Ryan hits Davis over the middle for a first down. I mean, he's really in no man's land. It's a good job of covering up Davis initially, and the pressure forces Matt Ryan to appear to run the ball. And right there, you're going to see Edmunds. I mean, he's just trying to make a play. He's trying to go get the quarterback here, but Ryan is able to throw it back across the field for the first down. Here's a nice play from Tremaine Edmunds along the back line here in the low red zone. Look at him carry the wide receiver up the field, and then along the back line, he helps eliminate this play at the end of the second quarter, going into half, and Matt Ryan is forced to just throw it into the dirt with 1 second left on the clock. I love the communication between Tremaine Edmunds and Taron Johnson on this play. There's a push call. It's a banjo coverage. So on the snap, you're going to see Pitts go out wide here. And instead of having Edmunds follow him, what Edmunds does is call a push. And what that means is he's pushing Pitts out to Johnson. And now Patterson, who is getting vertical, becomes Tremaine Edmunds' guy. And look at how he gets into the body of Patterson and carries him down the field. That forces Matt Ryan to go through his progressions, hold on to the ball, and eventually take the sack here on 3rd and long. So very good communication between Tremaine Edmunds and Taron Johnson. Here's another reception surrendered by Tremaine Edmunds on this play. You see him get depth here in what appears to be quarters coverage. He gets depth, and the shallow crossing route to Hesse comes over the middle. He closes along with Taron Johnson to bring down Hesse, but this was charged to Tremaine Edmunds. Again, you can see how deep he is in his drop. Not that it's wrong. That's actually the depth they want to be at. Look at where he is and look where Taron Johnson is. But this is still charged to him and counts against him. So when you're talking about grades and how many yards he's surrendered in coverage, reference this play. I love this play from Edmunds on the weak side of this formation. The Falcons bring a fullback in there and try to lead here on Edmunds. He comes downhill and meets that fullback in the hole, completely blows up this play at the point of attack with some physicality, some downhill defense. It's something I know a lot of fans want to see more of from Tremaine Edmunds. But this play just put him right at the point of attack, and he takes it to the fullback on this play, and it really minimizes the gain by the running back. The final play of this breakdown is one that really pissed off a lot of Bills fans, and a lot of hatred was thrown at Edmunds on this play when really I don't think it should have been. So initially the Bills drop out into quarters coverage, and they eliminate these two routes over the middle. Do a great job of doing that. That forces Matt Ryan to what? Pull it down and escape to his right. So Edmunds is thinking, hey, I need to become the contain player on Matt Ryan because there is no one else out there. Johnson obviously has to carry his guy and plaster his guy. Well, as Edmunds steps up, you see Hesse then find a little void right behind him. But my issue with this play is not Edmunds. It's really Matt Milano. Why is he staying just inside the numbers and guarding grass? He should be plastering down on Hesse over the middle as Matt Ryan is in the scramble drill mode. And he's rolling to his right. So why are you staying way across the field right here inside the numbers? He should be plastering down on Hesse, which would allow the Bills to cover everyone up and force Matt Ryan to go somewhere else with the ball or just keep it, and Edmunds would be there to shut down the play. So I hope this breakdown added a little nuance and context to the Tremaine Edmunds discussion and conversation, because there was a lot of discourse on him this weekend and over the last few weeks and how he's playing. But this was a play that I think a lot of people pinned on him, but I believe really should have been pinned on Matt Milano in the end.